Hey guys, it's Miss Kennedy again. So, lesson learned. This behind me is not backwards, so you do not need to open up your JPEG. So I didn't know. It looks backwards to me whenever I view it, so I apologize. My mistake. We all make mistakes. Anyhow, this encounter is with regards to encounter 2 and 3, and this has to do with the law of conservation of energy as well as energy transformations. And I had to combine these two encounters because there's really no way of talking about the law of conservation of energy without talking about energy transformations. Let's talk about the definition first. The law of conservation of energy states that energy cannot be created or destroyed. You just can't create it out of thin air, and then it becomes quote-unquote lost. What happens is it's simply changed into a different form. Therefore, aka, it's transformed. Okay? So that's why we talk about energy transformations along with the conservation of energy. So let's dissect these words a little bit. Energy, we know that energy is measured in joules, okay? So that is the units. You would never want a naked number sitting around. So if I said there's 6,200 blanks, you would know to write joules of energy, okay? When we talk about force next unit, we'll talk about it in terms of newtons, okay? Everything has a unit, so remember that. Especially this comes into a big importance when we start working in chemistry and you're in physical science and biology and all those types of courses when you get up and get older. So it's just something to remember. Let's talk about what a law is, okay? A law is something that happens every time, all the time, okay? In a set of conditions. So if I were to hold a pencil or if I were to grab this glue bottle, say for example, this glue bottle, what's going to happen to it if I were to drop it? We know that it's always going to fall. Period. The end. Okay? We're not going to Harry Potter it and make it, whatever is it, I don't know what he says, a Leviosa or whatever. Okay? It's not going to leviate or leviate in air. It's not going to happen. Okay? Now, if we were in a vacuum or in space, we have changed the quote-unquote conditions, therefore, it doesn't obey the law of conservation of energy, okay? So a law, again, is something that happens every single time. Something that's opposite of a law is called a theory, okay? A theory is something that a scientist proposes that they have to gather evidence about. Theories can be changed. Laws cannot, okay? So if you think about the great show, The Big Bang Theory, okay, the Big Bang Theory has to deal with the creation of the universe. And I'm not going to discuss the minute details, and I'm not going to talk about opinions or anything like that. But what I'm going to say is that there are people propose that the way the universe was created had to do with the way atoms came together, or it came together 7 days and 7 nights based upon creationism. Whatever your opinion is, I don't want to know. You don't need to know mine. It doesn't really matter. But it has to do with a theory, okay, versus the actual law. Okay, we are going to talk about laws right now, and eventually, when we start talking about cells, okay, we're going to talk about cell theory and what we think about that, and we'll be able to compare and contrast what laws and theories actually are. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So we know, for example, let's take a look at our example right here. We have a little stick person who's going to kick the ball down the hill. We know that the ball, okay, let's say it's a bowling ball, okay, it's going to go down the hill. It's not just going to stop or roll backwards, anything like that. We know that it's going to go down. It has the most potential energy at the very top of the hill. In the middle of the hill, it's going to have the same potential and kinetic energy, mechanical energy here. Most potential up here would be our gravitational potential, okay? And as it moves down, mechanical energy. And finally, our most kinetic energy here on the bottom. Before it hits the box, okay, we know that it has the most kinetic energy. Again, this is a bowling ball. Now, if we were to play with a marble, and a marble was to be rolled downhill, what's going to happen when it hits the box? Is it going to break the box? Is this going to happen? Not necessarily. It's going to bounce off the box. Again, kinetic energy and the amount of mass is a direct relationship. The more mass, the greater the kinetic energy. Direct relationship. Okay? No energy was lost in this, okay? Simply transformed from the movement of kinetic energy to actually breaking the box, okay? If it were a marble, then to bounce back, it does have kinetic energy. The bouncing back is actually a stored movement. It's a movement, and it's got stored energy back when it stops, okay? All right, let's talk about the little diagram here, okay, and the transformation of energy. So this is a handy-dandy flashlight. I think I did pretty good, honestly. All right, but taking a look at it, okay, we're going to turn the switch on here, all right? When we turn that switch on, we have a certain type of energy. That energy is considered to be electrical energy. There's a little wire in there, and it starts the flow of ions within our batteries, okay? Within our batteries, there's a certain type of energy, stored energy as well, called chemical energy. So now we have transformed from electrical energy to chemical energy. From there, those batteries will heat up a little filament inside the light bulb. Remember, think about that little glowy light that you see. You can really see them well in Edison bulbs. If you don't have any of those at home, pretty cool to look. They're long filaments within there. Those filaments heat up. Because it's heat, it's giving off heat. Those atoms are moving around really fast. Okay, getting pretty hot in there. That's hot in here. That's considered to be thermal energy. Okay? Not only is it giving a little thermal energy off, we're also seeing light, okay, or radiant energy. So a transfer of energy from electrical to chemical to thermal and radiant, okay? What's also evident whenever we have transformations of energy is something called friction. And we will talk about friction in the next unit a lot, okay? But what friction is, it's just the force that opposes motion. So when your parents are driving and the tires are moving against the road, okay, those tires heat up, all right? For example, sometimes our tires in the morning will say that they're quote-unquote flat. You'll see the little signal come on the dashboard. But as soon as the day moves on, the atmosphere is getting warmer, as well as your parents driving, that contact with the road is therefore causing thermal energy. Those atoms are moving faster, bouncing off the walls of that tire, expanding the tire, and therefore it's not considered flat anymore, or the little signal goes off. Okay, just something to think about. All right, but the force that opposes motion is considered to be friction. Energy is not lost when friction is present. It's simply transferred. It can be transferred in the form of thermal energy, or depending on what it's sound energy. Whenever you hear the noise of our cars, that's sound energy. Okay, so many different transfers take place. All right. There is the worksheet. Remember, you had a choice. You had either to do the potential and kinetic energy activity, or you have the energy transformations to do for Tier 3. My suggestion is, though you only had to do one, you can always practice with the second one. Okay. The energy transformations with the turbine, the power plant, really good activity to do in order to master this information. All right. If you have any questions, of course, Edmodo message me. I'm always available for you. Hope you have a great weekend. See you soon.